Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And here we go again, folks. Good morning. Welcome to a great Saturday. I hope this really sort of a lifting of the veil. You know, it's like being in a big haze or a fog, and then all of a sudden it sort of lifts, which is really common, folks. For those of you who've tuned in across the nation, not necessarily in the southern part of the U.S., but in Florida, where we're located, occasionally we'll have these kind of foggy mornings, but they burn off. They burn off, and it's beautiful. This morning, we had no fog. We've just got beautiful sunshine, and the best part is this coming Monday, local restaurants start to open partially. And gosh, I never thought I'd miss eating so much. Not that I've missed eating. I think we've all had enough to eat and drink at home. It's time to get out. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When you need auto parts, folks, O'Reilly Auto Parts is just a few clicks away, offering convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. You can order online at O'ReillyAuto.com. and pick up free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. They'll even bring your parts out to you curbside, or you can choose to have your parts delivered right to your front door with free shipping on most orders over $35. You can get your auto parts quickly. Where? At O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. I'm Bobby Likis, 888 Car Clinic. Jonathan will take your calls. Okay, let's ready to rock and roll. A 2013 Honda Accord came in the shop running rough, stalling, and a check engine light. The vehicle had originally been repaired by another shop. After a thorough diagnosis, we found the vehicle was generating a bad signal from the crankshaft position sensor. This seemed odd as it had just recently been replaced, but the scope doesn't lie. A bad waveform signal needs to be fixed. Our solution? A new crankshaft position sensor from Motorrad. A longtime leader for vehicle thermostats and caps, Motorrad now offers engine management products that are engineered to meet and or exceed OEM specifications. They're designed to perform under severe operating conditions and are resistant to extreme heat. We made the change, and that fixed the car. Motorrad engine management products are manufactured in Tier 1 OEM facilities with top quality qualifications. They undergo comprehensive 100% in-line and end-of-line testing to ensure uncompromising quality. Learn more about Motorrad engine management products and other Motorrad solutions at motorrad.com. Folks, this week we had a 2014 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 with 127,000 miles coming to shop with AC problems. Hot weather's just around the corner, and this owner wanted to make sure his truck was road ready. Tommy, our ASE certified technician, tested the system, so all seemed okay. Then after a few minutes, the high side pressure ran through the roof. Seems the condenser fins had corroded and weren't cooling the refrigerant. We called our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional and ordered a new condenser and filter dryer. Easy fix? Not really. Tommy had to remove the auxiliary battery, windshield washer reservoir, fender liner, and the entire front grille just to get access to the parts. When repairs require extensive labor time, it's essential the parts we install work first time every time. This is the job we don't want to do twice. That's why we depend on O'Reilly Auto Parts team and the quality of parts they provide. This car repair spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P-Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this morning's broadcast. I hope that you, this past week, had a great week. I know that it's a little difficult for all of us as we go along, and we try to determine, what's the best course of action. And I think the best course of action is just to think positively, which we're seeing everywhere in our community. And I want to share this with you because if it's happened to you in your community, let me hear from you, and let's just sort of briefly talk about this. And then I'll take your car questions as well. And it is a car talk program, but much more than that. It's a communication platform for me, you, and for those of you tuned in across the globe. And I say globe because we're not only available on your AM and or FM radio stations nationwide. We're available to you at Watch Bobby Live, which is a global internet. So The network continues to expand its global outreach to even more platforms. So here's how you can stay up to date with the latest and greatest in automotive industry news and automotive advice and motorsports reporting. That's right, motorsports reporting. I don't know where our good friend Terry Sabiston is this morning down in Daytona, but there's always something going on down there. They do a well of a job there. Watch the Bobby Likis Car Clinic broadcast live in HD from our all-digital studio every Saturday from 10 to noon Eastern Time at Watch Bobby Live. It's really easy. Just your phone or your computer or your desktop. WatchBobbyLive.com. And if you missed the Car Clinic broadcast any day, any Saturday, of course, or you want to re-listen to my dialogue with a caller, there's no worries. You can find us on Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, we're really proud of that, iTunes. And also, I would appreciate personally if you would like Bobby Likis on Facebook and follow Bobby Likis on Twitter to receive the latest updates, and that's Likis. You'd be shocked at how many different ways you could spell Likis. But as you know, we spell it Likelus. Like us, L-U-S. No, us, not L. Where did I get the L? Like us, you'll love us. Okay, enough of that. 888-227-2546. So here's what I'm going to do. I kind of got it in my mind, have a little fun today. I have one final bomber jacket to give away. It's a small. So, just for you to know, those smalls, the arms are kind of big on those. I talked with Miss Carol, who was one of our winners in New York, and she said, the coat fits pretty well. It's a little puffy, and they always were to me. We made, actually, a dear friend of mine made 20 of those bomber jackets for me many years ago because we were going to get into bling, with the network and all those sorts of things. But we just didn't have the time to really make that work. And I felt a little, it wasn't just the time. It was the fact that I didn't feel comfortable trying to sell you, a piece of clothing with my name on it or the brand. I know that sports do that, but that's just a different game. I didn't feel comfortable, so I never did anything. But I wore one a couple of times. But I'm not a coat guy, and even when I lived in Chicago, and that was Oak Park, Illinois, in the early '60s. In the early '60s. I still didn't wear a coat because I feel encumbered when you wear a coat. I don't know about you, but it's just something that it's hard to drive, it's hard to move your arms around, and of course, in the fast forward to today, I have a right shoulder issue, which is why I sold the Viper. I only had 30,000 miles, and I kept it 16 years. The last 5 or 6 years, I didn't drive it, but maybe 400, 500 miles per year. And so I had a rotator cuff issue that I, through my neglect and some advice that I didn't get correctly, I sort of lost that shoulder. So, I'm a left-hander. You should try to go from right-handed for 50 years and then switch over to the left one. It just doesn't work. That you hit things, and I know I was in the kitchen one day and I broke a glass, and it really was frustrating. And so Diane says, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." She makes light of that. Don't worry about it. Okay. So I reached up in the cupboard, and darn if I didn't break another one. I mean, back to back. I said, "Well, this just ain't my day. This is not my day," but that's okay. So here's what I'm going to do. We also have some polo shirts. It's what I have on right now. Those of you who watch Bobby Live, you can see they really are comfortable. Some are cotton and some are a thinner material. I kind of like the thinner material better than I do the cotton. And we've got a handful of those, and they're XL, so they're larger. I wear a large, and they're XXL or XL. So I'm going to give away today a polo shirt. And so when you call, if you would please give Jonathan, that's the 888 Car Clinic. Let me give you the number, 888-227-2546. That's 888-227-2546. 2546. Make sure you give him your phone number so we can reach back to you after the program. And we will pull one name out of the hat. I'll let the team do that. John Irvin is actually working the board today. So if you hear, it ain't my fault, it's his. And so he's in training, and Fabio, our producer, is training him, and Jonathan is screening the calls, as they say. So here's a little. Let's take a call from Don first in Nebraska, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do on how to. I want to have a little trivia. But that really had nothing to do with winning the coat, but it'll be a fun thing. It's about Fram, and I thought it was very interesting. But first, let's go to Nebraska. Don, thanks for holding. You're first in, so you're first up. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, thank you. The problem I have is I had the park assist things in the bumper go bad, the sensors.
Right.
And I replaced them. And now it'll only work if I take the trailer hitch, that you hook a boat or a trailer to, It'll only work if I take that out. And then it beeps once when you're about 5 feet away, and then it doesn't beep again until you're about 2 foot away. So I wondered if there's a way to change that part too.
Well, it's odd that you should mention that, because recently in my car, we put a set of tires. In fact, I talked about that last week. I finally got another set of tires and went with the Continentals this time, and we'll see the jewelry still out. And lo and behold, when I drove my car out of the shop, the right rear sensor, well, it could have been the left rear, but I think it was the right rear sensor, beeped, and I didn't really, I wasn't even in reverse, and I wasn't backing up near anything, but it beeped, and I said, well, how could that be? What did we do? Because we actually I don't put my car on a 4-post lift. I put it on a drive-in alignment, so I drive it in, and then there are 2 air jacks that can be strategically located on the suspension. Because if you're not really careful, you can bend the rocker panels, and I'm a little, anal about my car, duh. And so anyway, it after I drove it for about the last week, it's been about a week, 10 days now. It's back to acting normally. Now I don't know. I know that we didn't touch that because we weren't near the rear bumper. We were just take the 4 wheels and tires off. And go from there, Don. But it did straighten itself out. So 2 questions for you. Did the monitors, the sensors work okay with the trailer hooked up before you replaced them?
No, I had a sensor went bad.
No, but I'm saying, did you hook the trailer up and before the sensor went bad, and if so, did it work correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well, that was before I had to repair anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
It
Okay.
worked okay.
And
yeah.
so the sensors, just a little like a little plug it in a cigarette lighter. You mount them, and then you connect the 2 wires. Did you do this yourself?
Well, I did, and ordered some online, and I put those in, and they still didn't work. So I took it to the mechanic, and he went to a parts store, and he said he hadn't had very good luck with ordering them online and making them work. So he went to a parts store and got them, and then they worked that much, but they still don't seem to be working right.
Well, it may be just as simple as. Number one, I'm surprised the sensor went bad. As a rule, they don't go bad. We just don't have a lot of that issues. In accidents, yes. You know what? I've got a couple of ideas. We got a hard break here, but when I come back, I'll give you my thoughts, and I'll give you some advice to try to get you on the other side of this and repair this. Don't go away, folks. I'll be back. Coolant leaks are never fun, but they can be especially challenging if you're far from home and repair shops are closed, like many are right now. It pays to be prepared. Keep an emergency road kit in your vehicle, and inside should be a number of items including K-Seal. K-Seal is a pour-in solution that helps stop cooling system leaks. It features ceramic technology designed to repair the leak without clogging. K-Seal is available nationwide at parts stores like AutoZone. Check AutoZone.com for store hours and shipping options. As we kick off National Car Care Month in the midst of COVID-19, making sure your vehicle is road ready has never been more important. The Car Care Council remind you it's the perfect time for a thorough check of various vehicle maintenance items like brakes, batteries, tires, cooling system, filters, headlights, and the exhaust system. Visit carcare.org to find out how you can best keep your vehicle safe and dependable. It's National Car Care Month. Are you car care aware? Learn more at carcare.org. That's carcare.org. Our inbox has been especially full these past few weeks as people are looking for advice regarding keeping their vehicles road ready. Jim from Dallas wrote, "What can I do to make sure my vehicles are prepared and ready to go?" Jim, the economic impact of the current health crisis has touched every hardworking American. Making your dollar stretch further is more important than ever before. Commuting to grocery stores and other essential outlets has changed the way most Americans drive. Shorter trips and lower operating temperatures can increase the probability of carbon buildup in your vehicle's engine combustion chamber. Look to Berryman products to help maintain optimum performance in MPG. Berryman's intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner is a simple-to-use kit that can truly add fuel economy, better performance, and longevity to your vehicle's engine. Regular use of Berryman B12 fuel system cleaner can assist you in maintaining a clean and healthy fuel injection system. Check out Berryman products' complete line of maintenance and cleaning products designed for do-it-yourselfer and professional technicians alike at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in today. Always, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you and I share information about my experience and actually some total 60 years actually in automotive service, 48 years and 9 months with operating my own automotive service shop. And this studio, which is really a super nice digital studio that we designed, and acoustic systems in Austin, Texas, fabricated it, shipped it on in 2 semi-trucks. The floor weighs about 10,000 pounds, and it's really a quiet place to be. For us, should we ever get an Ivan to come back through the Gulf Coast, the hurricane of '04, this is where I'm going to be inside this studio. It's like a vault. Let's go back to Nebraska from the center of the automotive universe here at Car Clinic Network to Don. So Don, here's my take. Now, number one, I'm not sure why a sensor that you buy online would not work as well as the one that you buy at a parts store. And if that's the case, and it happened to you, and it also, from what I understood, you to say, it happened to the service shop that bought another sensor at a parts store. So there may be some compatibility issues with the wavelength, because that's what they are. They're little radar devices is what they are. So that being said, you may be forced to do two things. And one, I don't want you to keep having to replace parts. So I think maybe you might want to go back to the independent, to the repair shop that installed the sensors. It's possible that the system may need to be reprogrammed. And what that simply means is, and I'll make a short version of this, and I'll tell you because this actually happened to us. We replaced a door lock solenoid in a Lexus. And as you know, when you hit the key fob and you lock and up and down, it's just a solenoid that goes click up and click down. It's sort of like a doorbell that uses a ding dong. That's what happens. You push the button, and there's a circuit that connects in your house that pulls a hammer, and it goes ding. And then when you let the button go, the spring pulls it back and hits another dong and ding dong. That's how it works. And there's electronics as well. But I said all that to say, like a starter solenoid, you push a button and you got that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how that works. So it's possible that the system just needs to be reintroduced. And I say that because in the Lexus, we put the door lock in, and you would think a ding-dong would have 3 wires, the hot and then a switch leg, either a ground and a hot on one leg, then a hot on the other. One goes up and the other one goes down. But that wasn't the case. There were 6 wires going to this very expensive door lock solenoid for this Lexus, and we had to take the window regulator out. It was really difficult to get to, so it was an expensive repair. Well, it didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is because we had to reprogram the body control module, because in today's cars, whenever, for instance, whenever you're in a crash and an airbag deploys, and BMW was one of the first companies to do this, all of the doors are unlocked so that first responders, when they get to your car, if you're perhaps upside down in a ditch or whatever, the door can be opened because it's already unlocked versus them having to break a glass to get in because you might be lying against the glass. So that's the way the car is manufactured, so that in the case of an airbag deployment, all of the doors are immediately unlocked. Not opened, but unlocked. And so we had to introduce, it's called initialize, and we had to introduce the new door lock to this Lexus. And I was really, we were surprised, and then because that's not always true. And I'm not sure that that's the case with your car, but I think you should go back to the person that you paid to install the parts and ask him if he has the expertise and the software to reprogram the body control module, or at least to determine if that sensor is compatible with. If not, and let me ask this one question. Have you tried to walk near the right rear and or the left rear to see if both of those sensors, did you replace both sensors? Let me back up. Did you replace both sensors? Okay. And are they both, do they both operate the same way?
Yeah, they seem to.
Okay. So that would tell me that that they're not broken. Not that there's anything to break except a wire in there, but they're not broken. But maybe it's a case of sensitivity, and you may be relegated to install a factory unit for, what kind of car is it? You didn't say.
Chevy, 2009 Chevy pickup.
Well, let me tell you something. We buy parts from O'Reilly Auto Parts every day, every week, and we've not had any problems with incompatibility, and so here's what I would suggest. I would suggest that you go back to the person that you paid, ask him to reprogram, or at least to look at the body control module and determine if perhaps it needs to be reprogrammed. And that's easy enough to do. And of course, Lexus would be a little more expensive, but with a GM, what he has to do is just simply connect your car to the GM reprogramming to determine if there's a reprogramming, and there may well be. Number one, I'm surprised that you had to replace both sensors. That usually doesn't happen. There's something awry there, because other than accidents, they just don't go bad. And so you had to you replaced 2 of them, or maybe you replaced both of them as a pair.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Replaced both of them as a pair.
Yeah.
And the trouble was, I think gravels had hit one, and it was just a little chipped. And
okay.
I think that was the one that was actually bad, and water got in there.
Okay. All right. Well, see, now that makes sense. So, okay, well, go back, have him to test them and reprogram them. And if they don't work, then I suggest that you install a GM sensor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I looked into that. They're very expensive.
Well, then wait a minute. Then wait a minute. Here's what I suggest you do. I suggest you go to O'Reilly Auto Parts and ask the counterman how many brands of sensors that they offer. And if they offer the Delco, see, it's going to be the same thing. You see where I'm going? I'm trying to get around the dealer, because the dealer pricing structure is not set up by the dealer, it's set up by the manufacturer. Manufacturers make cars, but in the big sense of things, they sell parts and they fix cars too. So that's a big part of their business. As well, it should be. That's just, it's capitalism, it's commerce. But by the same token, there's no reason that you should have to have an OE part, but if you do, you can buy that OE part aftermarket, and I would recommend Delco, which was at the one time a GM-owned company, but I happen to know that the Delco was made by the same people that make the GM. So you see where I'm going here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Try that, and then call me back. Let me know when you get on the other side, because this is an unusual. I spent a lot of time, and folks, I apologize, but this is an unusual case. Okay. Hey, Don, thank you, and stay tuned, and get back to me when you get to the other side of the cure. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Good luck to you. Let's go from Nebraska to New York and talk with Lori. Lori, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing very good. And you helped me one time before with an issue with a car that I had repair on.
Okay.
And come to find out, that repair was covered, so I got reimbursed. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I have another question, and I'm going to try to give you all the details short, and I'm sure you will know the answer to this or be able to help me.
Sure.
Purchased a 2013 BMW 35i April 10th. $4,000. I got it home, drove it for a week, got a flat tire on the right side, took it to the shop. They informed me that there were 3 cracked rims, a bad oil leak, aftermarket lights, and the car seemed to be in an accident. That's where I'm at now. Car is still in the shop, not able to drive. I don't want to do anything until I know where to go.
Well, let me understand. You bought a 2013 BMW for $4,000.
$14,000. I'm sorry.
Okay. I thought you said 4, because I was going to tell you to stop right there and get rid of it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Because there ain't no such thing as a free lunch, as you know.
No
and
way.
that would have been a free lunch,
Yeah.
but one you couldn't eat.
Yeah.
So all right. So you've got issues. So tell me again where you are, so I can put my head around this.
Well, I'm in Binghamton, New York. However, I purchased a car in New Jersey.
No, I don't mean where you are. I meant with regard to the issue.
Okay.
The vehicle's been in the shop 3 times since April the 10th, is what you told Jonathan. So
Exactly.
is that where the car is now, in the shop?
The car is still at the BMW shop, and I don't want to move it or have them do any work. I would like to get an attorney or find out what my rights are.
Okay. So, all right, now we get to the root of it. So, it's called recourse. If you buy from an independent anywhere, you have no recourse. What you buy is what you get's what you got. If you buy from a used car dealership or used car dealer, you will know if you bought as is, because it'll have a big as is by the law. The law of every state, it'll have an as is, where is sticker on it, and if it drives off the lot, it's yours. And if you bought from a dealership, which dealerships are, as a rule, a franchise dealership is going to be more solid than some used car lots. Not necessarily all used car lots, because we have a couple of outstanding used car lots in our community that are just over the top. You know, Frontier Motors is whom I think of. They do a great job. But having said that, do you buy it from a dealership or an independent or from a private individual?
No, this was from a car dealership.
New car, used car?
Used car.
But I mean, was it a franchise BMW dealership? No.
Franchise.
Yeah, in other words, do they sell new BMWs there, or do they just use cars?
Just used cars.
Okay. So have you talked with the used car manager and the owner of the used car lot about this? And
I have.
And I've got a hard break coming up, so I may have to interrupt you here. But, folks, let me ask you this. So, Laura, you stay right there. And I see that Tim is calling from New Mexico. Folks, it's time for you to get in now. Don't wait till the last minute. 888-227-2546 when I come back. With 48 years experience in automotive repair, our service team knows what dirty gasoline does inside an engine. Over time and miles, fuel residue and hot oil vapors create nasty, hardened clusters of carbon that block airflow into cylinders, collect on valves, and build up inside combustion chambers, causing hard starting, rough idle, sluggish engine performance, and bad gas mileage. Solution? Berryman B60 High Mileage Fuel System Rejuvenator. B60 cleans the entire fuel system of all high-mileage gas-powered vehicles with powerful detergents and HEST solvents. That's high-energy solvent technology at work. B60 gives you one-tank cleanup of fuel injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers. Restore lost power, reduce rough idle, improve fuel economy, and enjoy your drive again. Berryman B60 High-Mileage Fuel System Rejuvenator is the only fuel system cleaner with HEST solvents. Pick up a can at your local auto parts store today. For more, visit BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back, folks, to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. 888 Car Clinic is the number, 888-227-2546. We're talking with Lori in New York. Lori, you've got an issue with this used BMW that you bought, paid $14,000 for it, leaks oil, and you're having some other problems. You inquired about the Lemon Law. For your information, Lemon Law does not apply to used cars. It applies to new cars. And it applies whenever you buy a new car, and that car has to go through a series of visits in the automotive new car dealership, franchise dealership, service shop, and it's there longer than it should be. And I don't know if each individual state has its own. I'm sure that each individual state would have its own parameters with lemon law. But to my knowledge, and I stand to be corrected, because but to my knowledge, that applies to new cars only. And so, as a fact, that lemon law would not apply. However, having said that, if this car hasn't worked right, how long did you drive it after you bought it before it started giving you problems?
Oh, it's been a week and a half. First, it was the light, which was a minor issue, and then the tire got a flat. So we figured we'd just go have the flat fixed.
Yeah, sure.
And then we found, 3 cracked rims, and that it had been an accident. Well, he didn't tell us it had been an accident.
Well, what I would advise you to do, and I think you've already done this, I hope that you got some sort of, what did you go back to the dealership, sold your car, and did you say, hey, I think I got a really bad car here?
I did call. He said he'd take a look at it.
Okay.
I asked him, I said, will you fix it? He said, I'll take a look at it.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough. He can't say, he without taking a look at it, he can't say. But understand this. I hesitate, because in my career on radio for 28 years, I guess occasionally I've gone on a rant and when I felt that someone didn't really understand what was going on. But I've never thrown a new car dealership or an independent under the bus. So, and I've never advised people to, well, go get a lawyer and sue the guy. That's not my style. But I will tell you this. Number one, used BMWs leak oil. Used Audis leak oil. So there, I've said it. Now you know the truth. I'm not a BMW fan, and I'm not an Audi fan. And because every time one comes in the shop, it's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and most of the BMW and Audi owners don't mind paying it because they just kind of agree with it. But it sure is odd to me that you can have an Audi with a 65, 75,000 miles on it and have spent $20,000 on it, and you have a Toyota with 160,000 miles and spend $1,000. I mean, other than maintenance. So, and I don't drive a Toyota, but they do make the best cars in the world. They do. Toyota does.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, but I drive a Jag, which is not the best car in the world, but it is the biggest bang for the buck from a luxury standpoint, and I really like mine, and I've not had many problems with mine. Having said that, I don't want you to. I want you to set up an appointment with this person. Don't just walk in. I want you to call either the owner or the manager. I think. Did you buy this car by yourself? Just walk in, or did your husband go with you, or?
Well, no, it was just me, my daughter, and I, 2 women. So there you go. Okay,
then here's what I would say. Whatever you do, don't take a man with you. Because you're going to start some confrontation, and this whoever your friends would be, or your neighbor would be, or your uncle would go in and said, "What are you going to do for this?" I mean, you don't want to go in with that confrontational. That's the wrong way to do it, because that person's going to say something out of school or out of line or what have you. I think you and your daughter ought to go back in and say, "Okay, we came here to buy a good used car. And we came here because we know and had heard good things about your dealership. And this car is not worthy. Plus, we have learned that it was in an accident. And cars don't have three cracked wheels. That is not normal. It's not even normal for one cracked wheel unless you've hit a heck of a bump. So sit down and have a face-to-face, but make an appointment. What is a good time for you? And make sure that appointment is an agreed-upon time. And that way you can have a face-to-face, which is the way I like to do business, and you can look across the desk from that person, and you can say, and so here's what I think will really happen. If you go about it in this direction, but be firm, because ultimately, and I'm going to say this and with all caution, ultimately you can go to an attorney and you can make it really uncomfortable for that person that sold you that car, even if you bought it as is where is, because nobody in business wants to have to deal with an attorney, even if they're right, even if they sold you the car and said this car is no good. Now you're going to buy it. Yeah, I don't care. I'll buy it. And you see where I'm going? I'm just saying that this is the way.
One thing I did do right was I bought the extra protection plan, so the oil leak's going to get fixed.
Well, good. Well, then having said that, then I think then you should turn it back to the dealer and let the dealer handle those things for you, because that person that owns that dealership has associates in the automotive service business that he can trust and he knows can repair the automobile. And if the automobile cannot be repaired to a safe roadworthiness, then even if you bought the car, well, I'm going out on a limb there. I would say even if you bought the car as is, where is, you'd have some recourse, but you'd have some recourse if you had the help of an attorney. But you don't want to go there. And make it plain up front. I don't want to go there.
Right. I made some phone calls already just in case. I do have someone who will pick up this case.
It's
like you said.
I'm with you. But you want to go in. You want to go in
business to business.
Yeah, business. Exactly. So this is the way. This is the way. Because I've had people that. I've had younger people and that are quick to pull the trigger to come in and get their car serviced, and something wasn't right. We didn't do something right, or it didn't come out right, whatever, because nobody's perfect. So they go out and they get no further than the parking lot, and they get their phone out and they go tut on Facebook and give you a bad review. People, and that really is aggravating, and let me tell you why. And for those of you who have done that, shame on you. If you don't have the guts to walk back in face to face and say, hey, wait a minute, we got a problem here, then you have no right to go on Facebook and say, they're no good, they're no good. And then a lot of people do that anonymously, which is double no good, really. So
we gave you business, honest business.
Yeah, exactly.
Sit down honestly and work this out.
Yeah.
And then if you can't help and won't work with me, then I can go.
Now we're on the same page. So for everyone that was tuned in, this is the way if you really want to get to the problem, and you don't want to be rude about it and demanding, but you can be if you have to. But it's just that's the last resort. Okay, Laurie, I'm so glad you called me, and so
you have always been a help. I've always trusted in you, and I got your phone number in my pocket, and I so appreciate you. Are excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you
much.
so much.
All right, and good luck, and let me know what happens right here on national radio. On the other side of this, and then maybe when you come back, you can do what a lady did last week and talk about there in New York about the North Bend or North End Automotive Repair was a really good plug for that business. So maybe you can give this used car dealership a good plug, and so it's a win-win for everybody, and that's that. Then we can all smile and. I know that, rose-colored glasses are not my forte, but by golly, it's a lot better than confrontation and a lot friendlier and better. Hey, Laurie, thank you, and let me know how it's going to work out for you.
Thank you so much, Bobby. You're helping us be a win-win.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Folks, gas prices this week are, across the U.S., guess what? Down in every place than the same price last week. They're lower in every, when I say place, the East Coast, New England, Central, Lower Atlantic, Midwest, Gulf Coast, Rocky Mountain, the West Coast, and the West Coast, less California. Without an exception, I've got and there's either green arrows or red arrows on my report, and from this time last week, the prices are lower. And guess what? From this time last year, the prices are even lower. Let's go to New Mexico and hear about the gas prices in New Mexico from Tim. Tim, thanks for calling. Welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
How you doing this morning?
Well, really, really terrific. I wanted to help the Laurie from New York, and sometimes, if you start out a conversation that's confrontational, nobody wins.
Oh, for sure.
For sure, and so, but by the same token, used cars are used, and they're always going to have problems. And if they're BMWs, they're probably always going to leak oil. I said that.
Oh my, they're going to have lots of problems.
Yeah, but anyway, what? So tell us about New Mexico.
New Mexico. Well, just first thing, we're over 90. I don't know what you are, but gas this morning is $1.30.
Gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. Let me tell you. Let's see. Let me look at my list here. $1.47. The Midwest, $1.47.8 is the lowest. The highest is in the West Coast at $2.45, and the average for the nation is $1.77.3. And you're at a dollar what?
$1.30.
$1.30. Well, I guess you'll just have to do most of your driving right around your own.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, makes me wonder why. Is there a refinery near your hometown?
No, there's not. And unfortunately, we're 70 miles north of El Paso, and they have a refinery, but I understand they're well over $2. Las Cruces is west, and they're over $2 because I went and saw my daughter last week. I snuck out of the city to go. She's in college.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Santa Fe. I sometimes deliver cars for Toyota.
Right.
And they're over $2. And I don't know why we're so special. We've been cheap for the state since before Christmas.
Well, you do know, and folks, this is interesting. You do know, and I had a list at one time, and I'll maybe next week remind me, Jonathan, to do this. I had a list of state taxes and city taxes, and I'll give you an example. In New York City and California, that's the two highest. The tax on the gas is 62 cents a gallon. And
wow,
that 62 cents a gallon, and in California it was either 61 or 64. I forget. It was like California, New York, California, one of the other, and so you've got the raw price of the gas, which is determined by, as I understand, and there's always a bit of a mystery, kind of like leasing a car. That is a voodoo and black magic.
Yes.
Okay, I've done that twice. And both times afterwards, I wish I hadn't, but I'm not sure that I wouldn't do that again. Anyway, but here's the point. The gas price, 70% of the price is determined by the price of crude. So we all know that crude, took a dive. So that's the reason that gas prices are lower nationwide. That's the reason, that's 70%. The other part would be transportation. And I visited a refinery years ago, LL&E, Louisiana Land and Exploration. They sold out to Chevron, but they had a plant in just north of Mobile. And I went over there, and I knew the manager. He was there for 20 years. He gave me all of the information. I couldn't believe it. He said, Bobby, we set the price of gasoline every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, or whatever. It could have been 6, I don't know. But he says, and we do that by transportation. That's what, well, explain that to me. He said, well, we swap batches. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, we sell Chevron fuel. He says, but Chevron is in Kentucky. They don't bring their gasoline down here because it costs them more to deliver it, over the long haul than what it would cost if they sold it local. So we exchange. They sell our gas up there, and we sell their gas down here. But really, we're selling our gas with their name on it. However, having said that, at this huge gas station, and folks, you should see you're talking about a huge gas station. The gas pipes are 4 inches in diameter. You've seen them on the trucks. Well, they've got these huge covered stalls where the semis go in. And here's something really interesting, Tim. When a semi goes in, they don't measure the gallons. They weigh the semi when it goes in, and then when they fill it, there's from the big gas tank in the sky there, and then they also have another smaller gas tank like Chevron, 5,000 gallons, and then they'll have a Citgo or other Shell or what have you, and so they all use the same gas. In fact, 85% of all the gasoline on the Gulf Coast of Florida, in our Gulf Coast area, came from LL&E, and it had 5 and 6 different labels on it because the additive packages were different. And, come to think of it, that's the same thing for oil. The crude's all the same. It's just the additive packages from the individual. Now, having said that, this gentleman explained to me that transportation was one of the drivers of the price of gasoline, and the crude price was one of the drivers of the gasoline. And I got to think that in your neck of the woods, there may be maybe it's a supply and demand. You know, I don't know, but if you know anybody there that runs a gas station, you know, or maybe has a dozen of them, why don't you just for grins ask about that, because that information is available. Hey, I'm out of time. I got to go. I sure thank you for calling. Okay, take care.
Be safe. Yes.
Be safe. Folks, thanks for tuning in this hour. I've got some great information I was going to share with you, and I'm going to give away a Car Clinic polo shirt with the logo on it. Really, really cool. It's black like I have on during the next hour. So if you're, whether you hear the program or not, we'll be on the next hour. 888-227-2546. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes in a repair shop beyond diagnosing cars. Sometimes technicians get caught up in a repair that just keeps needing more. Recently, an 05 Saturn came in the shop. A 15-year-old car, 150,000 miles. Our young customer was dealing with a coolant leak, a slow, steady drip on the engine area on the driver's side. After a cooling system pressure test, we determined the lower radiator hose was leaking. We replaced the lower hose, topped off the system, and parked the vehicle. All good. Upon prepping for pickup the next day, you can imagine our disappointment to see coolant leaking from the right side of the radiator. A $500 repair. Our solution? A bottle of K-Seal, which can cost under $20. K-Seal features ceramic technology and is designed to repair leaks without clogging. One bottle completely solved the problem, sealed the leak within 10 minutes. K-Seal is available at fine retailers everywhere, like Napa Auto Parts. So when you have a cooling system that has a leak, don't just seal it, K-Seal it. For more information, go to kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the cultivated section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the cultivated section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemurs. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And a special welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for tuning in. Every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you from the center of the automotive universe, which is a very nice digital studio, very high-tech, a great place to broadcast from. It's very quiet in here, and given the fact that the door The only door that you enter by weighs about 500 pounds. The floor weighs about 10,000 pounds. It's like a hearing. If you've ever been to a hospital or a clinic and had a hearing test, the same company, Acoustic Systems in Austin, Texas, actually made those hearing aid rooms. And this is indeed a takeoff. And the doctor who founded Acoustic Systems decided that he could also build broadcast booths. And we were fortunate enough to have found that company, and we designed it, and they delivered it to 2 semis, and we've come to you from that studio since 1996. We've been on the air since 1991. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you this morning in part by Optima batteries. Folks, Optima batteries are up to 15 times more vibration resistant than traditional flooded batteries. Optima batteries, the ultimate power source. You can learn more at optimabatteries.com, powered by Clarius. Your calls when I come back at 227-2546. That's 888. Entertainment systems, backup camera, start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's cars. AGM, or absorbent glass mat batteries, are up to the challenge. Precision engineered for the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. One advantage, how acid is handled. Where it's free-flowing in a traditional flooded battery, acid's completely absorbed in the glass mat separators of an AGM battery. So in the event of a crash, AGM batteries won't leak. For more AGM advantages from Clarius, go to autobatteries.com. That's autobatteries.com.
O'Reilly. Could your car use a spring cleaning? Now's the time to stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts during Clean Car Month for great deals on everything you need to keep your car looking new, like Mother's California Gold Wash and Wax, just $4.99 for a 64-ounce bottle. Save big on your spring cleaning car products today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've heard me talk about Motorrad's leading the way with automotive thermostats, fuel, oil, and coolant caps. Now, Motorrad's using their expertise in Tier 1 OEM facilities to deliver advanced engine management solutions. Products like camshaft and crankshaft sensors, ignition coils, mass airflow sensors, even variable valve timing solenoids. And Motorrad's aftermarket products are designed and manufactured to meet or exceed original equipment specifications. Learn more about Motorrad products and industry-leading application coverage at Motorrad.com.
October 21 to 27 is National Teen Driver Safety Week. Did you know that motor vehicle crashes are the #1 leading cause of death for teens aged 15 to 18? This week and every week, parents should talk to their teens about safe driving. Alcohol, not using a seatbelt, speeding, distracted, and drowsy driving all pose serious dangers. And when it comes to driving safety, there's no such thing as too safe. More tips, data, and insight can be found at driversaid.com, where you can learn about all things related to driver education and safety.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started. As I said, and you may not have heard this if you've just tuned in hour 1 of today's Bobby Likis Car Clinic broadcasts, I'm going to give away a polo shirt, which is exactly what I have on. It's a black, nice, good brand, great brand, comfortable with the Car Clinic logo, and I have a couple of those. And these are really just little gifts that I think of from time to time. And so we're going to put each of you who call in with a car question even if you don't make it on air, we'll try to get everyone on the air. Put your name in the hat, and then Jonathan or Fabio or John will pull a name out of the hat and bring it into me, and at the end of the program at 55 after the hour. So let's get started. 888-227-2546. First, we're going to go to Laurel, Mississippi. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. How are you, my friend?
Bobby, if I was any better, it'd be illegal. You know how? You know what I mean?
I do. I know what you mean.
Look, I've got an older brother. I'm hard-headed, but I've got an older brother that's hard-headed than I am. And I know you're not supposed to put ethanol gas in these small motors.
Well, wait. What's a small motor?
Lawnmower, weed eater.
Okay.
But I cannot get the point across to him. He says we can't find regular gas up here in a little town called Taylorsville. I said, Curtis, they sell gas everywhere. You just got to get out and look for it. But I've also heard you talk about pour and pray in the past. Are there any kind of additive you can put with that ethanol gas so he can use that?
Okay, folks. Let me tell you what, because you said the magic word there, Jim, which is kind of cool. Jim referred to pour and pray, and pour and pray. I mean, the parts stores across the nation are laden with additive packages and additive bottles of chemicals. That's a big part of the automotive aftermarket industry, and so many times, so many car owners, and this is within the industry now, but Dennis Rawson, who was a Jedi and chemical company, I met him, and he talked about their chemicals that they had, and he said, but most chemicals are pour and praise. I said, what's that? He said, well, the car's misfiring, it won't run, it doesn't do this, and the owner goes to the parts stores and buys a can of something and pours it in the gas tank and prays it fixes the car. And I'll never forget that. And that, Jim, that's what you heard that from me, pour and pray. But I heard it from Dennis Rawson, who was with BG, actually, and he's retired. Now, having said that, there's no doubt that additives are very powerful, and when applicable, will make a difference in the running of a car. Now, getting back to your root question, we're talking about lawnmowers now. We're not talking about cars. Here's the reason, just chemically and physically and thermodynamically, why alcohol, ethanol, gasoline, like 10%, 15%, is not compatible with a lawnmower. A lawnmower has a fixed orifice carburetor jet. That means the air-fuel ratio that it runs by, so many parts of fuel to so many parts of air, is predetermined and preset at the factory. So if you were to put in, and just for you folks, a quickie here, for every gallon of gasoline, the engine, a regular V8 car engine, has to have 9,000 gallons of air. So the perfect ratio is 14.7 parts of air to 1 part fuel, and that's called stoichiometric. Now, having said all that, I didn't want to impress you with all my knowledge, but though I'm very familiar with fuels. Having said that, if in this bucket you've got gasoline, and in this bucket you got air, and you mix this gasoline with air through a jet, a fixed orifice, then you can't change that. But if you add more air, you lean out the mixture, and that would cause overheating. Well, how do you add more air? You put air in the gasoline. How do you do that? Ethanol. 35% of every molecule of ethanol is oxygen. And that's why it's an oxygenate, and that's why it burns so cleanly. But see, we've all been fed so much crap about ethanol in the history, and it all started before we were all born, folks. It's back in the 30s and 20s. Having said that, well, most of us were before we were born. But the bottom line is, so when you add ethanol percentage to a lawnmower, you are adding air in the gasoline, which means you lean out that mixture, and that causes the exhaust to run hotter, and that engine will run hotter. So in any automobile more than 80% of all cars on the road today can run E30. And to that end, I run and have run 4 tanks of E30 through my car that was authorized to run E10. because I was testing with no issues whatsoever. I don't run E30 now because we can't buy it. But I bought it because I had some special fuel that I got from a racing fuel that was a E90, and I mixed the fuels. But anyway, back to your point. I know it's hard to find straight gasoline E0, but there are websites where you can find that. I can't remember where to go, but if you'll Google, Jim, where to find ethanol-free gasoline, then you can find that. But let me just say this. You also can use, in that lawnmower, a higher octane and may be able to get away with that. And the reason I say that is because a friend of mine came to me, a dear friend, and we walked different sides of the street with ethanol, and he was telling me about his weed, what it wasn't a weed whacker, it was a blower, a driveway blower that he was having problems with. And he went up and he got some ethanol-free gasoline. Well, the station where he bought it doesn't sell ethanol-free. What he did was he went from 87 octane to 89 octane. And so what that means is when you go to a higher octane fuel, it's a little harder to burn because it requires more heat and more compression. So if you take, for instance, a car that is designed to run on low octane gasoline and you put high octane fuel in it, you're wasting gasoline, and that means it runs richer because it doesn't burn all the fuel, because the fuel is designed to withstand more pressure and heat than that engine can produce. So that is a workaround. So I would say to you, run premium fuel in those lawnmowers with ethanol E10 premium fuel and see how that works out for you. You got it?
I appreciate it, Bobby, and you have a great and safe day, and it's nice hearing from you. I'm sitting here watching you on my telephone. And
how cool is that? Yeah, I love it, man. Hey, thanks so much, Jim.
Have a great day, and God bless.
God bless you. Stay safe, my friend. Let's go to Owego, New York. Been there, done that. Jesse, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Welcome from No Brakes, New York. Well, only in your case.
There you go. Well, I'd love to have you on the program always. How you doing, and what we're going to talk about today?
It's a beautiful day, sunny. Going to enjoy this weather today. And I got an oil question for you. My car now is probably up to 100,000 miles.
Okay.
And I run 5W30 synthetic in it, but we were driving down the road and my oil was a little bit low, so I had to stop at a gas station, and all I had was 530 regular conventional oil.
Okay.
But I've always had this slight little knock up in the valve body of the engine. But when I added that 1 quart, topped it off, it went away. And I haven't had a problem since.
Well, you added 1 quart of 530 to an engine that had 4 quarts of 520, and a ticking noise that you had went away.
Yep, and I haven't had a problem since. I still got to change the oil, but I'm like, do I need to go to a
I knew you were going to ask me that. Yeah, well, you know what I would do with high mileage. From time to time, you hear me talk about Berryman products. Berryman products. See, here's a point. Number one, first, let me preface what I'm going to tell you. I don't believe the 530 was what fixed that vehicle at all, because when you mix 1 quart of 530 and 4 quarts of 520, you still end up with about 520. I mean, one as they say, one monkey don't make no show. Well, 1 quart of oil makes no difference in 4. Having said that, it depends on, and the answer would be, it depends on the condition of the 520. Perhaps the 520 had been in for a while, and maybe it was diluted or polluted or whatever. But here's the point. Berryman makes a product called, and write this down, Jesse, B60, and it's an oil system rejuvenator. And here's what I want you to do.
Okay.
And you may have trouble finding it. Just look online, at berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com. And order it if you have to. Go to a local O'Reilly Auto Parts. And if they don't have it, ask them to order it. Insist on they order it. And so the reason I say that is because there's an additive package in the oil system rejuvenator, the Berryman B60, that has zinc and phosphorus and ZDDP that will solve the issue that is what is really causing the ticking in your noise in your engine. Anyway, I got a break coming up. Jesse, stay there. Cliff, you stay there. And folks, you stay there as well. I'll be back to finish the conversation. Spring has sprung, and with COVID-19 center stage, it's never been more important to be car care aware. The Car Care Council reminds you that April is National Car Care Month. Here are a few things you should consider as you prepare for the months ahead. April showers can bring hazardous driving conditions with slick, wet roads. It's a great time to make sure your brakes, tires, and windshield wipers are ready for the rain. Talking specifically about your brakes, how can you tell something's wrong? There are a number of signs. If your brakes are spongy or squealing, or if you can't stop without pumping, or other indicators include your car pulling to one side when stopping, your brake pedal sitting lower than normal, and your brakes requiring excessive pressure or grabbing with the least amount of pressure. Any of these symptoms mean you likely need your brakes inspected. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box. That's carcare.org. Today's Repair Spotlight is for gasoline-powered engines with 60,000 plus miles. At this age and high mileage, vehicles can develop irritating small oil leaks that can make a mess and ultimately cause serious damage to engine and chassis components. The solution? Berryman's B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator. It's simple to use and safe for engine components like catalytic converters and oxygen sensors. Berryman B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator cleans and protects the crankcase and engine oil system on all gas-powered vehicles, and conditions and revitalizes seals and gaskets to help stop oil leaks. Berryman B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator contains zinc-based ZDDP and molybdenum moly to help fight friction, heat, and wear. It helps prevent sludge formation to maximize engine performance and life. Don't put up with those pesky oil leaks. Add some Berryman B60 to your motor oil and add another level of protection for your engine. Learn more about Berryman B60 and other great products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back. We're talking with Jesse in Owego, New York. So Jesse, when you added this quart of 5W30 oil to your 5W20 engine and this noise went away, I believe you. But I believe there's some hidden circumstances that's causing that noise. So what I'd like to do, and what if it were mine, in other words, we know that you can't put 4 in 1 because that's not what you're supposed to do. You can't put 4 quarts of 20 in and 1 quart of 30. So that's out. So would you put 5 quarts of 530? Well, no, and here's why. The tolerances of today's engines that are designed to run 520 are very tight. Even with 100,000 miles, there are still tight tolerances and cam journals or what have you that demand a faster flow of lubricant. And to that end, the G6 new lubricant is 0.16 and will be 0.8. So that's viscosity. I mean, it's like water. So anyway, but that's another story. We won't go there. And so the reason I recommend the Berryman products, the Berryman B60 Oil System Rejuvenator, is because it has additive packages in it that do not come with regular oil that will lubricate and clean and also treat the seals in the engine. And so it's an overall, what its name implies, a rejuvenator. So I would highly recommend you do and follow the instructions on the label. Even though you're a man, you can surely do that one time. So do that, and then going forward, continue to use 5W20 oil in that engine. That's what it calls for. You got it?
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay.
We'll keep you posted on how things play out.
I expect that from you, and a special hello to all my friends there in Owego. And where is it your town's located there?
Yep, I'm right here in Owego. I'm like 20 miles away from Binghamton, where Lori is.
Ah, cool. Okay. Hey, thanks for your call, Jesse. Have a great day.
All right, you too, Bobby. Take care.
You as well. Nice gentleman. I had a story about Owego. I took a race car up there one time, and I've never been treated so nicely in my life. Anyway, it's a long story. I won't go there today, but it's worth repeating, and I will say it and share it with you again on another day. I've got some information about Fram that I think is really interesting, a bit of automotive history about Fram, and I'll tell you after this call. Cliff in Alamogordo, New Mexico, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, it's always great to hear from you again.
Hear from you. Hey, you call me, but it's always great to hear from you again.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always hearing you on the radio here in Alamogordo, and I do a lot of my car study stuff on Saturdays, a couple of shows, and I spend the day doing that besides doing ministering, and so I still keep up with it, and we're still working on some cars and still doing what I like to do. But get this, Bobby, I'm still the first in the U.S. with an automotive degree as a blind mechanic, and right now I wish there was more of us out there doing it. And,
so, folks, you hear what he said. Repeat that. You're the first. Say that again because I want to make sure it sinks in.
Yes, I am the first with an automotive degree as a blind mechanic in the U.S. If you go on Channel 7 News of Albuquerque of 2014, they talk about that. They mention it, and I wish there was more of them. I know there's about maybe a dozen of us in the world doing this right now that we know of. It's a very rare thing to watch a blind person work on a car, but it is fascinating, but it's also experience, and we go by feel and hearing the car itself, what it does, what it doesn't do, and try to figure it out or try to diagnose the problem, which is very interesting.
Well, it is, and I have to say this, Cliff, because you and I are friends, and you've called several times.
Yeah.
You would be surprised, or probably would not, but you'd be surprised at how many so-called technicians, mechanics that aren't blind can't see. If you know what I'm saying. But anyway, I'm not here to beat up on my own, but the bottom line is, it just seems like there ought to be a better standard. I think we should all be licensed, but that's neither here nor there. What's on your mind today?
Well, I'm wondering about this. I've been wondering about it for weeks and weeks and weeks since we have been through this virus, and our country has been really going through a lot of stress and a lot of issues, and a lot of states have been shut down. Bobby, I want to know more about the electric car because now you're not hearing it as much since gasoline prices are so low, and they've got so many millions of barrels of oil standing around not being used, and they can't even find places where to put it. Now they just found Mexico to put it, but they're running out of room. What do you think the future still is for the electric vehicle? And is this going to put a damper on companies are building these vehicles because everybody's out now looking at buying a new SUV, a new truck, and that takes a lot of fuel. And with fuel prices where they are, and we don't know if our country will be back up in another few years. It may take 4, who knows. Do you think the future is still there, or do you think it's just going to be put on hold for a time until we get back to where we're at?
Well, that is one of the most intelligent point-on questions that I've ever been asked. I was asked by a CBS or ABC one of those talk shows that I was invited to be on, but I was treated so rudely that I quit. Most of those programs where they have 3 guests, they have a host. The host always interrupts the guest. And so anyway, but that's another story. But I was asked that same question, and I didn't have an immediate answer. And the reason I didn't have an immediate answer is because I don't have a crystal ball. And she said, "Well, you don't need a crystal ball. Just what do you think? Well, here's the bottom line: electric vehicles will continue to grow, and will continue to be sold because of emissions of gasoline. So it doesn't make any difference, and I'm really trying to cut to the chase here because we have so many calls, but there's no question that to burn gasoline and the emissions that come out of the engine, albeit so much cleaner today than ever before, but gasoline in and of itself is filthy. And I know that there are a good friend of mine, Mark Roush, and he and Ben Gordon operate the largest automotive website in the world, and the oldest, called The Auto Channel. And Mark he's brilliant. I mean, he's an avid writer and an author and those sorts of things. He doesn't like electric vehicles, but for me, and I like the V8. I like the sound of the guttural V8 that's in my car.
Amen.
Having said
Amen.
having said that, Cliff, number one, electric cars and self-driving cars will give freedom to the older generation who are no longer capable of driving and have no driver's license. In the case of you yourself, if you want to go from point A to point B, you could summon an electric car and get in it, as blind as you are, and not worry because that car is going to get you someplace. So I don't think there's not a place in the automotive market, in the transportation industry, for electric cars. And to that end, there's not a car maker out there that's not sinking billions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, into the EV cars. And last but not least, semi-trucks, which is where you can have the biggest bang for the buck. The semi-trucks, because they get 6 miles per gallon. So if you can have an EV and ultimately get the same as 10 miles per gallon, then you've got an exponential decrease in emissions and decrease in cost. Having said that, what we're seeing today is a phenomena, and you know that, and it won't last forever. And the price of gasoline will, as quick as the American petroleum industry can make it, will go back up in the stock market. So I said all that to say that what we're going through now is a good lesson to learn. And I think the social distancing and gosh, I was downtown last night and walked the streets of downtown, and the stores are going to open up this weekend or Monday partially, and it was really, really kind of neat to see the people out walking around. So I said all that to say that the technology that we have in the EV cars, the self-driving cars, to come is already being implemented in the gasoline cars, like lane change, lane warning, airbags, all those safety issues. And so the deaths per 100 million miles will be significantly reduced with EV cars and with self-driving cars, which are EV cars. So I'm for the EV as much as I love my hot rods and my V8 gasoline. I think a perfect car would be a self-driving EV. Well, not necessarily self-driving. A perfect car for me would be a V8 with the e-assist. That way you could get the gas mileage and have it. But getting back to our situation of low price of gasoline, as you mentioned, and EVs, it does have an effect. And to that end, if you'll remember, when gasoline was approaching $5 a gallon, then all of a sudden, Elon Musk had, in his Tesla, made a hell of a change in the way we think about cars. That's not going to change. The circumstances that drive it will change, and I will say that oil will go back up. The stock market will go back up, and the good news is that we will be less dependent or not dependent on foreign oil, because in the true analysis, Cliff, here's the bottom line. It doesn't make a difference whether gasoline is $1.30 as your associate there from New Orleans, New Mexico called earlier at $1.30 in his town. Or, as I said, $1.77 across the nation. It doesn't make any difference. It's still a dirty fuel, and it's a poisonous fuel. Gasoline is poisonous.
Yes, it is.
So it really, that's all temporary, and we're going to see it change. Yeah. And am I for $5 a gallon of gas? Not really, but you know, it's all relevant. It's all relevant. You know?
I know. I have been studying on Kia and a company called Riveter. You might have heard Riveter.
I have.
It's a company that's been building electric vehicles. I think they're very fascinating.
Very.
And I think that what they're doing is their platform is so unique compared to most I've studied already. And then I've been studying on Kia. Kia is now spending something like, and I've heard this already on some other shows, like $25 billion in the electric system that they are trying to do. So I know there's something to all of this. Right. If you're spending that much money in electric, we know that they're going to start spending money on the grids and start, you know, I know it takes about probably a good 15 to 30 minutes to charge a car.
Hey my friend, got a hard break, Cliff. I'm with you. We're on the same page as always. Thanks for calling from Alamogordo, New Mexico. Folks, I'm Bobby Likis. Don't go away. I'll be back.
Folks, recently a 99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease. She showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Always a pleasure on Saturday to converse with you, those of you from across the nation, across the globe. Watch Bobby Live versus also AM and FM radio stations. And if you want to listen to the Car Clinic podcast on the go during the week, on your favorite app store, you can find us on additional media platforms to include Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Spreaker, Spotify, and Stitcher. So please subscribe to our product and our podcast, and you can share it with your family and friends, and leave us a review and let us know how the knowledge and the advice and that's presented to here for you has helped you to become a little more familiar with the nature of the beast that you drive. So, and last but not least, I would ask that you like Bobby Likis on Facebook and follow Bobby Likis on Twitter to receive the latest updates. This program this morning is brought to you by Bobby Likis Car Clinic, that is, Grundy Insurance. Jim Grundy is the founder and had an idea about agreed value, and that separated his company for classic car insurance from every other classic car insurance. Grundy's Motor Vehicle Program, or MVP, makes it possible to combine all your vehicles on one policy and insure them all at their agreed value. For more information, which you should seek out, drive over to Grundy.com. That's Grundy, Grundy.com for that information. Let's go to South Dakota. Or first, let's go to Washington. Take a call, and then I'm coming to South Dakota, Jim, and then, folks, you're up next. I'll be giving away a polo shirt, a Car Clinic embroidered, nice polo shirt like I have on at the end of the program. Lonnie from Washington, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure to talk with you, Bobby. My question is, I've got a 2017 Cadillac XT5, and it has the heads-up display, and just recently the heads-up display does not display on the windshield anymore. I was wondering if you can elaborate as to what that may entail.
Well, that heads-up display is controlled by the BCM, or the Body Control Module. And the Body Control Module controls many things in that automobile: interior lights, the cluster, the speedometer cluster. Does the speedometer cluster work correctly?
Yeah, everything else seems to work perfect. Yeah, you can even shift, the different modes of
right. Yeah,
2 different modes of how that displays, and
so,
that works.
So, Lonnie, did this go out? Was it erratic to start with, or did it just one day quit working altogether?
Just one day quit working.
And has any automotive service shop or the dealer ran any tests on the system?
I haven't taken it in there yet. That's my next plan is to get scheduled, and I just kind of have a heads up, as to what when I go there, so I got an idea as to what when they're telling me what it needs.
Okay.
I'm a better informed purchaser.
Well, you're my kind of guy, and that's kind of funny. You said heads up about a heads up display, no pun intended. But here's your heads up. Here's what's going to happen. Without them performing a couple of tests on the vehicle that include securing a professional scan tool, not a handheld $35 wannabe, a professional scan tool, which is a laptop with a program that will go into the architecture of your body control module. And just so you'll understand, because this is important, the difference. If you and I are having coffee and we look across the street and the house is on fire, we call 911 and say the house is on fire. But the first responders need to, and that's what a code reader does. It goes into your port system and your OBD2 port, and it says you have a code. But that's as far as it can go. Just like you and I are watching the house burn across the street, that's as much as we know. First responders need to know where the fire started and where it was really originating from to put it out. That's the difference between a code reader and a professional scan tool, because the professional scan tool can get into the architecture of the electronics and bypass the gatekeeper. There's an electronic gatekeeper that keeps everybody else out. They don't tell you that because the manufacturers don't want you, just every Tom, Dick, and Harry to go in there and start modifying and changing things. Having said that, that's where you're going to have to agree, and here's where I'm really going to help you. You're going to have to agree on an initial test, and that can be 1 hour, and I wouldn't agree to any more than 1 hour test, whatever their labor rate is. Let's just say it's $100. Then you agree to no more than 1 hour of their test, and it's not just a plug in their machine and read it. There's some follow-up tests that they have to do as well that are included in that 1 hour, because it only takes 3-5 minutes to read the codes and to go into the architecture, but there are actuators and other parts of the operative system that they can test by going into and using this professional scan tool. So you agree to 1 hour, after which they will give you the prognosis or the diagnosis as to what they found to be the problem. Now, I said all that to say this. If you choose the right shop, what I would recommend you do prior to or at the same time to include in that 1 hour at no extra charge is a search, a keyword search in the professional architectural world, and we have a half a dozen companies, including General Motors, where we can determine if there's a reprogramming update for your HUD device, your heads-up display, or if they've had problems with it. And TSBs, every shop should look up TSBs at no charge for their customers. Even if you're just in there for an oil change, I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's a courtesy, and I'd like to see more shops do that. And one in New York, in New York, did that for a lady and had an 07 vehicle that she got fixed for free because there was a recall. And so I was really pleased. I think it was North End there, or North End in New York. Having said all that, Lonnie, agreed to 1 hour, but also in that 1 hour test for your HUD, you also asked them to check for any updates of software from General Motors and or any technical service bulletins that are relevant to the HUD. That's the 3 key elements that you can get for your 1 hour cost. You got it?
I appreciate that very much. That saves me from walking in there blind.
Exactly. And you can ask them what they suggest, and say, well, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like for you to perform your test, including looking for TSBs, and I'd like you also to connect my car with GM if this is an independent, and make sure. Now, understand this: if they subscribe to General Motors, they can already check your car, but GM charges $40 per car even if you're subscribed, and that $40 is good for 2 years. I kind of have a little rub with that, but they're the ones that has the information, and by law they have to share it at a nominal fee, so that's a nominal fee. So if they come back and say, okay, we'll do that for $100, but if you want us to do the car vehicle to OEM GM test, there's going to be extra charge, then $40 is their hard cost, just between you and me. That you wouldn't know that unless I told you, but now you do, as well as everybody else who's tuned in. Anyway, please get back with me and let me know on the other end what happens after the fact, okay?
I surely will.
Thank you, Lonnie. Good luck.
Appreciate it very much, and enjoy listening to you.
My pleasure, as always. Thanks. Let's take a call now from South Dakota. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah.
Jim, glad to have you join us. You're on the air.
Thank you, Bobby. Greetings from the great state of South Dakota, the Mount Rushmore state. I've got a 2005 Cadillac FPS 32-valve North Star, and it sits a while. It's got 103,000 miles on it, but it sits about every month for a week or so. It had developed a little bit of a leak in the front end. I think it's an oil leak. I've checked the oil on it. The oil says full. I'm wondering if the people that changed the oil in it before put more than 8 quarts in it might have gotten it overfilled so that there might be oil. I hate to take it into a dealer. They charge me a diagnostic of about $120,
right,
just to tell me if there's another seal broken or there's a seal compromised.
I got you.
Do you have any experience? Do you have any experience with those 32-valve North Stars? Have you ever heard of anything like that?
Tons of experience, but not from overfilling. Those engines, in fact, that was my favorite engine in '94 when GM came out and from out of Detroit. The problem was back then was porosity of the aluminum block, and so they had oil leaks through the block. And then historically they've had oil leaks, and then ultimately there's a company, a little private company, I forget the name of it now, that actually makes head studs that increases the size of the studs if you have a head gasket leak, which they do have problems with. Having said that, your least expensive next step would be, I don't know if you heard me talking about the Berryman B60 oil system rejuvenator.
I have.
All right. That product has a seal softener in it. I'm not going to tell you it's going to fix your oil leak, because that would be a pour and pray. You pour it in the engine and pray it fixes the oil leak. I'm not going to say that, but I can tell you, you won't hurt anything, and it will actually do wonders for the engine internally. So I would try that first. My second choice would be take it into a shop of your choice, have them clean it and inspect it and give you a price on repair. And then you get back with me with that information, and we'll go from there. You got it?
Very good, Bobby. Thank you so much.
You are more than welcome. Thanks for calling. 888-227-2546. So here's an interesting from our partners at O'Reilly Auto Parts, an interesting message given the COVID-19 situation, and I hope that we are approaching the other side. But let's listen to this short word from O'Reilly Auto Parts.
As we navigate the COVID-19 crisis, O'Reilly Auto Parts is dedicated to serving you. We've been deemed an essential business, so our doors will stay open. We encourage you to buy online, then pick up curbside. Together, we're committed to getting through this.
And there you have it. We're committed to being here every Saturday to help you get through your automotive needs, and we are putting together this week. We don't have it ready for production yet. Well, that's not quite accurate, but it hasn't hit the wire, but I'll tell you next week, and it is a message from yours truly about emergency preparedness and how to be emergency prepared. And it's a series that we and our other talk show host and our car talk show host, associates of mine, have put together to help you to be better prepared for emergencies, because your car is sitting in your driveway, you're not driving it much, and that is not good for your automobile. Okay, I have to share this with you. Fram is a bit of automotive history. So in and this is what's really interesting to me, in 1932, Fram was born when two original chemists, Frederick Franklin and T. Edward Adam, invent an easily replaceable oil filter element in their Providence, Rhode Island laboratory. The name Fram, and this is so interesting, in 1932, is coined from the first two letters of Franklin, Fr, and the last two letters of Aldham, which is AM, F-R-A-M. I thought that was very interesting, and that was in 1932. In 1951, the Fram dry-type replaceable air filter was the first selected as original equipment on what car? The U.S. passenger car, the 52 Studebaker. And folks, Fram also introduces the first dry-type carburetor air filter, which replaced the old oil bath. And there's more information about Fram, but I thought that really interesting. And next week, I'm going to put out, so remember this, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to ask you if you know the phrase that Fram coined that everybody knows, but we just don't think of it until somebody mentions the first half of it. So next week, you tune in for more information, because I'm going to give away another polo shirt next week to the lucky winner who can guess what Fram came up with, and that was in 1971. Right now, our giveaway winner is Jim with the 05 Cadillac XTS had the engine oil leak from South Dakota, of our Bobby Likis Car Clinic polo shirt with a logo. So Jim, congratulations, and thank you for tuning in from South Dakota. And folks, just remember that every week from 10 till noon, I'm right here to help you and answer your car questions. And there are some things that you should do and some things that you shouldn't do. One of the things that you should not do is you should not crank your car up and let it run 5 minutes every week and think you're doing it a favor. Do not crank your car unless you're going to drive it for 20 minutes or run for 20 minutes, because all you're doing is causing condensation buildup in that short 5-minute warm-up, because it never gets warm. The oil doesn't get warm, and that condensation can cause problems in the engine. And a lot of people, in fact, I had a gentleman that calls and my wife drives our car 1.5 miles to work, and I took the oil cap off and it was rusted. Oh, do I have a head gasket? I said, no. Your wife drives 1.5 miles. The condensation never boils out. So next week I'll give you some to-dos, and instead of what not to do to keep your car healthy and roadworthy. In the meantime, stay safe, enjoy life. Just remember that we will get past this COVID. And also remember, Cliff, there in New Mexico, that electric vehicles will be a part of our future, a big part of our future, even if gas drops to 50 cents a gallon. We shall see. So until next week, I'm Bobby Likis, your host. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Insurance 101, courtesy of Grundy Insurance. Grundy's agreed value insurance does not deduct for vehicle age or expected wear and tear when evaluating a loss. They know there's a greater likelihood that your collector vehicle's value will increase over time. Grundy also understands the cost to repair or replace your collector car can change. Their collector car policies feature a built-in inflation guard, which in recent years has automatically increased the insured value of one's vehicle by 4%. Learn more at the Insurance 101 section at Grundy.com. COVID-19's temporarily changed our everyday lives, and while most people are staying home, there are essential workers who depend on their vehicles to get to work. And even those at home need to make sure that the occasional trip to the grocery is safe. Your vehicle's reliability has never been more important. Berryman Products is committed to providing the products needed to help maintain your vehicle, like Berryman's Intake Valve and Combustion Chamber Cleaner Kit. It helps to restore power and remove economy-robbing carbon. Learn more at BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Fortress Mountain Grown. Now you're here, your aroma helps me